What does the word philanthropy mean? It's the desire to help others, usually done by a generous donation. So, Aluxers, the big question is, does this generous donation make a substantial difference in the lives of others? Does the money get to where it needs to go, and who ultimately benefits from these donations? We are going to play the role of devil's advocate today and highlight a few areas of concern when it comes to philanthropy, and those who call themselves philanthropists. Welcome to Alux.com, the place where future billionaires come to get inspired. If you're not subscribed yet, you're missing out. Number 1. Not all agree that philanthropy should benefit any cause. We recently published 2 videos, 15 reasons why money doesn't solve homelessness and 15 reasons why money won't solve world hunger, where we highlighted some scary statistics. There, we mentioned that 1 in 9 people go hungry every day. 1 in 6 billion people are considered homeless, without adequate accommodation available for them. For every 1,000 children that are born, 39 will die from preventable illnesses like malaria, diarrhea, and pneumonia. 1 in 5 children do not attend school, and 8.9% of people do not have access to a private facility to defecate. The stats are frightening, and there are plenty more where that came from. So, when people want to donate their money to a cause, should they have freedom to choose where their money is spent? Sure, the knee-jerk reaction is yes, it's their money, but let's look at what happened in France not too long ago. Notre Dame was on fire. Out of nowhere came funders funneling in billions of dollars to rescue it. The likes of Apple, L'Oreal, Chanel, and Dior all rushed to donate. While this was happening, people were and still are starving in Yemen, in what the UN called the world's worst famine in 100 years. People have no access to clean water for drinking. Drought has torn down farming communities and left people with nothing. These causes are all urgent, yet money is being given to build music halls, art galleries, or playgrounds. Number 2. Philanthropists are often all talk and little action. In the book Winners Take All, the elite charade of changing the world, which you can listen to for free on Audible by using our code Alux.com/freebook, Anand Giriharadas exposes how the elite will be fully involved with philanthropic ventures, fighting for equality as long as it doesn't threaten their position at the top. He uses the concept philanthrocapitalist a lot and speaks about the future of apps and PowerPoints to really make a difference in the lives of those who need it. In a powerful article written by Lynn Paramore titled Toxic Philanthropy, The Spirit of Giving While Taking, she highlights how philanthrocapitalists will always speak about the victim's plight, but fingers are never pointed at the perpetrator. Philanthrocapitalists remain unaccountable. She sums up her article with the following quote: "The emperor may stand there in his organic underpants waving a pie chart, but in the court of public opinion, it is increasingly obvious that he is not in the least interested in dismantling his own palace." Number 3. Charitable donations don't ultimately change anything. Aluxers, the thing with charitable donations is that, sure, initially it's all exciting and people can do a lot to improve things, but if there's nobody to maintain the changes, they just go to shit. Philanthropy goes wrong often, and here's an all-too-common example: mission trips. We all know a religious organization of some sort who's decided to pump thousands of dollars into sending a family or individual to a third-world country to go and preach and save humanity. They come in with all the bells and whistles and start churches, schooling, projects, whatever, and then leave once their time is up. The community is often left with incomplete projects or without the proper knowledge and funding to keep it going. And ultimately, Aluxers, who benefits from those mission trips? The people heading there on a global adventure. It's called the white savior complex and refers to white people thinking they're helping out poor, non-white communities, when actually they're only serving themselves. Which leads us directly to our next point. Number 4. Philanthropy should not be about throwing money at a problem, but rather empowering the people. You see, Aluxers, the problem with people thinking that money will solve all these problems is that, well, it doesn't. If we keep throwing money at the problem, there will never be a point where the community is empowered to make changes themselves. There are some serious repercussions with this kind of thinking. For one, it's patronizing to the people you're trying to help. It shows that you don't trust the community to do for themselves what you're doing for them. It's also enabling some people to do nothing, to not learn to provide for themselves. Why should they when people are just going to stream in and do it for them? Those coming in to help don't take guidance or listen to advice from locals and do things their own way, which might not benefit that community. And finally, it often shames the community and stirs up feelings of helplessness. But all of this can be eradicated by giving a voice to the voiceless, teaching skills and sharing knowledge, listening to the actual needs of the community and not trying to fix problems in another country just because you're white, when you wouldn't even know how to fix them in your own country. Number 5. Not all charities are 100% transparent. Sadly, nonprofit scandals are a dime a dozen, from a bookkeeper crooking the books in a home for disabled children in Port Elizabeth to Oxfam staff hiring sex workers in Haiti, from Gospel for Asia swindling donations intended for India's poor to the Wounded Warrior Project who blew millions on parties and hobbies. CNN reported on this travesty, stating, quote, "Compared to other veterans organizations, Wounded Warrior is giving less to the people it serves. Disabled American Veterans Charitable Service Trust spends 96% of its budget on vets. Fisher House devotes 91%, but the Wounded Warrior Project spends only 60% on vets. Fortunately, they're on the road to recovery with new management, giving the charity a much-needed overhaul. And speaking of management, have you ever thought about how much they're paid? Let's find out next. Number 6. Charity CEOs earn top dollar, and philanthropists are paying those salaries. Let's just say that not many nonprofit CEOs are doing it for the love of the cause. Many are surprised to learn that some salaries exceed $1 million a year. The highest paid CEO is from the Boys and Girls Club of America, earning in the region of $1.85 million a year. Running a charity organization is the same as running a business, and often those CEOs could be earning far greater salaries in the corporate sector. To give you an idea of some other salaries, the Metropolitan Museum of Art CEO earns around $1.5 million a year. $1.2 million goes to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. And honestly, Aluxers, can you imagine how tough a job that one must be? And then the National Jewish Health's CEO earns just over $1 million. CEOs and NPOs, or nonprofit organizations that work for animal or environmental causes, earn significantly less than those working for human causes. Shed Aquarium in Chicago and the Rocky Mountain Institute each pay their CEOs around $600,000 a year. Number 7. With great power comes great responsibility. Having just given you a broad idea of what the CEOs of charities can earn, it's important to understand there is a responsibility attached to that paycheck. As in the example of the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, the current CEO is John F. Clark. He served as the director of the United States Marshal Service and served in the United States Capitol Police, as well as the United States Border Patrol. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children deal with issues relating to missing and sexually exploited children. Since its launch in 1998, they've helped to recover 215,000 children. They've received more than 6.6 million tips of suspected child sex offenders and investigated over 153 million child pornography cases. In his role as CEO, co-founders John and Rev Walsh has said, John Clark's credibility and hands-on experience is outstanding. His fight to protect children is well known. It's a perfect match. When you consider those stats, the position of CEO is mentally and emotionally taxing, and you need to be the perfect person to lead the organization to protect the children. Number 8. Volunteers can often do more harm than good. Voluntourism has become a buzzword over the past couple of years, and it's a word that explains how people travel and do good at the same time, similar to ecotourism, except the focus is on helping people rather than the environment. Right, so English vocab lesson out of the way. Are Westerners doing more harm than good while on these voluntourism trips? Well, yes and no. Despite the noble intentions of the volunteers, most of them have no skills to offer. So in the case of a volunteer program in a Nepalese village, one student wrote that, "There are few things more cringeworthy than watching 20 British schoolgirls trying to build a well under the scalding Nepalese heat." Another volunteer in Tanzania mentioned how terrible they were at basic construction, that at nighttime the locals would tear down what they built and rebuilt it, and would never say anything as they didn't want to offend anyone. In these types of scenarios, money given directly to the charity would have been far more beneficial, as these locals could have been employed to build the structures themselves, which would have provided jobs and food for the community that needs it most. Number 9. Should charities take money from the likes of Jeffrey Epstein? Dirty or tainted money being used for charitable causes is a hot topic. The Sacklers, as just one example of many, have always been known for their generous donations to nonprofits. Head to the Louvre and you'd have come across the Sackler Wing of Oriental Antiquities, or the Sackler Gallery in London, which profited from donations from the Sackler family. The Sackler family have become known for a lot more than just their generosity, and now many nonprofits are shunning any future donation from the Sacklers. So why is that? Their company, Purdue Pharma, are the makers of the highly addictive painkiller OxyContin, and despite being fully aware of the dangers of the drug, have been marketing it aggressively. And by doing so, they've been complicit in fueling the deadly opioid epidemic. It's ethically very complicated. Sex offender Jeffrey Epstein made contributions to MIT's Media Lab, as well as hospitals, universities, film festivals, and more. But were those donations just a cover-up to improve his image on the forefront while all that shit was happening behind the scenes? Ironically, convicted sexual predator Harvey Weinstein gave a $5 million donation to the University of Southern California intended to support female filmmakers. They've since rejected the gift. Another ethical dilemma is donations given with limitations. A donation of $100,000 was given to the Girl Scouts of Western Washington, with the provision that not a single penny was spent on transgendered girls. The Girl Scouts decided to return the money. Number 10. It's another way of the rich getting richer. Let's be honest, the rich can deduct taxes from large donations. Stanford scholar Rob Reich gives an interesting perspective on this. He wrote the following in a paper called The Problems with Philanthropy. When a wealthy person taxed at 40% of their annual income makes a gift of $1,000 to a soup kitchen, the government forgives 40% or $400 of their gift. So the cost of their $1,000 donation to them is $600. But when a middle-class person taxed at 20% of their annual income makes an identical $1,000 donation to the same soup kitchen, they're forgiven $200. The cost they pay is $800. So in a nutshell, even donations favor the wealthy. If only every donor took to heart what Chief Executive Officer of the United Nations Foundation, Kathy Calvin, once said. Giving is not just about making a donation, it's about making a difference. So Aluxers, what's your stance on taking tainted money for charitable causes? We'd love to hear your thoughts on this in the comments below. Now, since you stuck with us until the end, we've got your bonus. Not everyone who's a philanthropist is doing it for the right reasons. Many people do it for the gram. They like the praise and they love the thumbs up. They love people telling them how amazing they are and how the world needs more people like them. Don't be that guy, Aluxers. To sum it up, we believe good deeds and charitable work should be done with intention and not for attention. Go and do a silent good deed, and let's start a ripple effect of kindness. Thanks for watching, Aluxers. Remember to subscribe so we can chat again tomorrow, and we always value your thumbs up.